Okay, let's jump right in. I want you to take a quick mental survey of where you are right now, just for a second.
Hmm.
Look around you. Maybe you're at your desk, maybe you're in your car. Do you feel that subtle but persistent hum? That feeling of pressure?
That sense of being just a little bit behind.
Exactly, rushed, or like you just have too many tabs open in your brain.
That feeling it's very much universal, and it's really the perfect place to start this whole conversation. It's the mental clutter, the constant notifications, everything demanding a tiny piece of your attention.
Our sources actually have a great term for this. They call it the chronic leaking of cognitive energy.
That's it. We think of it as just being busy or overwhelmed. But what's really happening on a sort of a psychological level is two things: decision fatigue and cognitive load.
Okay, let's break those down. Decision fatigue.
Hmm.
That's the one where your judgment just gets worse and worse the more choices you have to make.
Right. Precisely. It's like a muscle, and it gets tired. Think about the sheer number of tiny decisions you've already made today. What to wear, what to eat for breakfast, which email to answer first, where you left your wallet.
And each one seems trivial, but they add up.
They absolutely do. And that ties directly into cognitive load. That's the mental cost of trying to hold all of that information in your head at once. All those open loops, those little to-do items, the phone number you're trying to remember.
You're basically using your brain's very powerful, very expensive processor as a cheap sticky note.
That is the perfect analogy. And when your brain's working memory, its RAM, is clogged with all that trivial stuff, there's just no capacity left for the big things, for high-level thinking, for creativity, for problem solving.
So we spend all our willpower on these micro battles. Where are my gym clothes? What should I make for dinner? And by the time a real challenge comes along, we've got nothing left in the tank.
Right. And here's the crucial shift in perspective we need to make. This isn't a moral failing. It isn't a weakness of character. You are not battling some personal flaw.
What are we battling then?
We are battling entropy,
Yeah.
a fundamental law of the universe.
Okay, entropy. The natural tendency for things to move from order to disorder.
Exactly. It's the universal drift toward disorganization. Your clean desk, your organized files, your schedule,
Mhm.
if you just leave them alone, they will naturally, spontaneously fall apart. And the solution isn't just more effort, more willpower. It's better structure.
Which brings us to the whole point of our exploration today. We're here to talk about the power of order, but we need to redefine it.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't about, a perfect, sterile, minimalist home. It's not an aesthetic. It's about order as the architecture, the scaffolding that supports your energy and your focus in a world that is, by its very nature, messy.
And by the end of our conversation, we want you to walk away with a really clear, functional framework. We're aiming for three main outcomes.
Okay, what's the first one?
First, you'll understand the specific things you can do right now to stop the leakage of that mental energy, to actually fight back against decision fatigue.
Second, we're going to define and show you how to find what's called homeostasis. This is that sweet spot, that dynamic balance between the structure and chaos that stops you from becoming either too rigid or, completely falling apart.
And third, you'll get the tools to build what we're calling clean systems in your life. Systems that are so well designed that doing the right thing, the thing you actually want to do, becomes the path of least resistance. It becomes the easy choice.
That's a framework that can change just about everything.
It really can.
If this episode helps you, please hit like and subscribe for the next one.
Okay, so let's start with a proper definition. What is order if it's not just about being neat?
In modern terms, the best definition is that order is a functional arrangement designed to minimize friction.
To minimize friction. So it's about making things easier.
Exactly. It's engineering for ease. It's about setting up your life, your workspace, your habits, so that your desired behaviors are easier to do than the ones you're trying to avoid. It becomes the path of least resistance. Text overlay 1, order, the path of least resistance.
Now, Charles Fillmore, in his original work, had a more, let's say, metaphysical take on it. He called order the faculty of right relation, or just adjustment.
Right relation, so everything being in its proper place relative to everything else?
Yes, and he located this power in the body at a very specific spot. The navel.
The navel? Why there?
Well, think about what the navel represents. It's your point of initial connection, of nourishment, of distribution. It's your physical center. This location implies that order is fundamentally about grounding and distribution.
Okay, I think I see. It's the central hub that sends resources out to the rest of the system.
Precisely. The sources call this the law of the vine. A vine has a central, grounded point, and from there it efficiently distributes vitality out to all the branches, all the leaves. Order is that distribution network for your energy, your attention, and your time.
And that network is so crucial because it's in a constant battle with entropy. You mentioned this earlier.
It's always there. This universal law that all systems, left alone, will decay into disorder. It's not just a big cosmic idea. It affects your daily life in concrete ways. Text overlay 2, entropy, the universal drift to disorder.
Like my desk. If I do nothing, it doesn't stay clean. It gets messy.
And it's more than that. That messy desk means you spend 5 minutes looking for a document. That makes you 10 minutes late for a meeting. That spikes your stress hormones, which then ruins your focus for the next hour.
Yeah.
It's a cascade.
So order is the conscious input of energy that's required to hold the structure together against that natural pull.
It's the upkeep, the maintenance, which leads to this brilliant little equation from a systems theorist, Dr. Ivan Demishev. He put it like this: entropy plus order, homeostasis.
Homeostasis, that's that stable, balanced state we were aiming for.
Yes, but it's a dynamic balance. That's the key. Homeostasis isn't a static, perfect state. It's the ability of a system, your body, your life, to adapt and self-regulate in response to constant change. It's not the absence of chaos. It's the controlled response to chaos.
That phrase, dynamic balance, is so important because it's so easy to fall off on one side or the other.
Oh, completely. Too much entropy, and the system just collapses. That's chaos. You miss deadlines, your health fails, your life feels out of control.
But the other extreme is just as bad. Too much order.
Exactly. If you try to impose a rigid, minute-by-minute, perfect structure on your life, the system becomes brittle. It can't adapt. It can't handle feedback.
Like that person who makes a perfect daily schedule and then a flat tire sends them into a total meltdown because the plan is broken.
The whole system shatters because there was no slack built into it. There was no room for life to happen. Homeostasis is about having enough structure to be consistent, but enough fluidity to be adaptable. You're aiming for resilience, not rigidity.
So we're fighting this external force, entropy. But a lot of the time, we're our own worst enemy. Let's talk about the internal things that disrupt order.
Yes. Beyond that universal law, we have to look at the internal friction we create for ourselves. And friction, again, is just the energy it takes to start something. High interaction costs that drain your willpower before you even begin the real work.
And that friction is what feeds the cognitive load. Instead of just writing a task down on a list, an external system, you try to hold it in your head.
And you're telling your brain, hey, I need you to remember to buy milk and call Dave back and prepare for that meeting, all while you're trying to actually focus on writing an email. It's impossible. You're asking your CPU to do the job of a hard drive.
And the physical environment, as you mentioned before, the clutter.
The clutter is huge. It really is visual noise. Your brain is forced to process every object in your line of sight. It has to make a constant stream of subconscious decisions about everything you see but haven't dealt with. Text overlay 3. Clutter is visual noise.
So it's not a moral failing that a messy room makes you feel anxious. It's a literal, measurable drain on your mental resources.
It absolutely is. And this brings us to a really interesting concept from Fillmore's work. He calls the internal enemy of order pharaoh consciousness.
Pharaoh consciousness. Okay, what is that?
It's the psychological posture of extreme rigidity. It's that stubborn, hard-hearted part of the will that refuses to adapt, that refuses to let life flow.
Yeah.
It's the ego demanding absolute, total control.
Which ironically leads to a total loss of control.
Always. Because this mindset, this demand for perfection and control, is what leads to reactive living.
What do you mean by reactive living?
It's when your days are dictated by external demands, by crises, by other people's emergencies, by the incoming tide of emails. You're not steering your own ship, you're just reacting to the waves. You're a slave to the system instead of the master of it.
And this all points to one of the most important lessons in this entire framework.
Which is that order must precede expansion.
Say more about that. That feels critical.
You cannot successfully grow in your career, in your relationships, financially, until the system you currently have is stable enough to handle the increased load.
So if your business is already chaotic, hiring more people just makes the chaos bigger and faster?
Exactly. It accelerates the collapse. Growth without a capable, orderly structure is basically the definition of cancer. It's expansion without a governing principle. If you try to pour more water into a bucket that's already full of holes, you don't get more water, you just get a bigger mess.
You have to fix the container first.
You have to fix the container.
Okay, this leads perfectly into the biggest mistake people make. They hear order and structure, and they immediately think of control and perfectionism.
And they run in the opposite direction. because they associate it with being trapped or judged. We have to draw a very, very clear line between these three things.
They might use the same tools, like a calendar or a list.
But their intention and their outcome are complete opposites.
Let's lay out the three contrasts one by one. First, order.
1. Order is adaptive and functional. Its only goal is long-term survivability and resilience. It's about creating ease. And there's a great line from performance coaching. Ease isn't laziness, it's wisdom. Order makes the important things easy.
Okay, so then number 2, control. How is that different?
2. Control is rigid and brittle. It tries to suppress all feedback, all uncertainty. It's like building a dam to stop a river. Eventually, the pressure builds up and the whole thing breaks catastrophically.
And in relationships, this looks like trying to manage other people's behavior.
Yes, if you're arguing, nagging, trying to convince someone, you're trying to control them. That's a power struggle, and it's a massive energy drain. Order is about setting a boundary and controlling your response, not theirs.
Got it. And the third one, perfectionism.
3. Perfectionism is static and paralyzing. It's usually driven by a deep fear of that entropy we talked about, a fear that if one thing is out of place, the whole world will fall apart.
So the perfectionist sees their routine as a test.
A test they're constantly failing. They treat it like a rigid checklist, and the moment they miss one item, they feel like a total failure and often just abandon the entire system. It creates anxiety, not support. Text overlay 4. Order is adaptive. Control is brittle.
Whereas order allows for mistakes. It expects them.
It builds in course correction. It's resilient. Perfectionism is fragile.
So if order has to be flexible and adaptive, how do you build that in? It sounds like you're trying to build a structured mess.
It does sound like a contradiction, but it's not. The principle comes from chaos theory, and it's called bounded instability.
Bounded instability, that's a great term. The name itself says both.
Exactly. Think about a healthy heart rate. It's not a static metronomic beat. There's what's called heart rate variability. It's constantly fluctuating, adapting to your breath, your movement, your stress. It's unstable, but it's within healthy bounds. A heart that beats with perfect, rigid regularity is a sign of serious trouble. Text overlay 5. Rhythm over rigidity.
So the bounds are the structure, my morning routine, my core principles.
And the instability is the slack, the white space in the calendar, the permission to adapt when life throws you a curveball. That flexibility is what keeps the system from shattering under pressure.
So that rigid pharaoh consciousness approach is actually a recipe for collapse.
It's a guarantee.
Yeah.
Because it refuses to acknowledge reality. True, functional order has to include rhythm. And a huge part of that rhythm is rest.
The idea that rest isn't a reward for good work, but a necessary component of the system itself.
Yes, it's structural. This is why that ancient wisdom, the Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath, is so profound. It means the system is there to serve you, to bring you freedom and well-being. If your system is enslaving you, it's not order, it's control.
Okay, now that we have this much richer definition of order, let's get practical. How does this apply in the big areas of our lives? Work, relationships, and habits.
Let's start with work, because here the main goal of order is to protect our focus and conserve our best mental energy for the hardest problems.
And the classic example here is Benjamin Franklin.
It has to be. Franklin was obsessed with this stuff. But his method wasn't about micromanaging every second. It was about rhythm and intention. He broke his day into these big blocks of time.
The key wasn't the schedule itself, but the questions he used to frame the day.
Exactly. Every morning he'd ask himself, what good shall I do this day? And every evening, what good have I done this day? The structure was there to make sure his daily actions were aligned with his highest values. It was a shield against distraction.
And he had this one tiny habit that anyone can use, the evening reset.
Yes. He made a point of putting things in their places before bed. And this was both physical clearing his desk and mental letting go of the day's anxieties.
And the functional value of that is huge. It's all about lowering friction for the next morning.
It's profound.
Yeah.
When you wake up to a clean workspace, you don't waste a single ounce of energy deciding where to start. You just start. You're preserving that fresh morning willpower for the most important task of the day. Text overlay 6. The evening reset lowers friction.
This is a perfect example of what you called cognitive offloading.
That's the core technique. Your working memory is precious and limited. You cannot waste it storing information that an external tool could hold for you.
So your to-do list, your appointments, your project plans, get them out of your head.
Get them onto paper, into a calendar, into a project management app. Use an external system to hold the routine data so your mind is free to grapple with the novel problems. If you're using mental energy to remember to buy eggs, you're steering that energy from your ability to solve a complex strategic challenge.
Okay, so that's work. What about relationships? Order seems like a weird word to apply to something so human and messy.
It looks really different here. It's not about lists. It's about emotional architecture. It's about providing a calm, predictable structure that other people can rely on.
Who's a good example of this?
I think a fascinating one is the basketball player Tim Duncan.
Oh, interesting. He was famous for being, well, for being boring. Extremely effective, but very quiet and composed.
Exactly. He was the opposite of flashy. His coach said he was kind and at the same time all business. He almost never raised his voice. He only spoke when it was necessary, usually to calm things down or simplify the goal. His whole focus was just making sure everyone was doing their job.
So his emotional stability, his predictability became the structure for the whole team.
It imposed an internal order on everyone. When the leader is a calm, steady anchor, everyone else can stop worrying about emotional volatility and just focus on their work. He conserved a massive amount of relational energy for the entire team just by being consistent.
There's a more extreme example of this in the source material with the Robben Island prisoners.
A very extreme example. Here you have people in the most chaotic, oppressive external system you can imagine. A system designed to break them down and turn them against each other.
And yet they did the opposite. They created their own order.
They created an internal code of conduct. They organized themselves. They created a university within the prison. They governed their own interactions with a strict set of principles. They imposed structure where none was offered.
Which proves that internal order is the one thing that can't be taken away from you. It's the ultimate source of freedom.
When the world outside is chaos, your ability to govern yourself is what conserves your energy, your sanity, and your self-respect.
And this connects directly to the idea of setting boundaries. This is such a critical skill for relational order.
It is, but people get it wrong all the time. They confuse setting a boundary with trying to control someone else.
Oh, what's the difference?
A boundary is about controlling what you will do. It's about your actions. For example, I am not available to discuss work after 6 p.m. If you call, I won't answer until the morning. That's a boundary.
And control would be.
Control is trying to get the other person to stop calling. It's arguing with them, explaining why they're wrong, trying to change their behavior. That's a power struggle.
And it's a complete waste of energy.
A total waste. The orderly approach is to state your boundary and your follow-through, what you will do, and then let go. You conserve all that emotional energy you would have spent arguing. That's how you prevent burnout in relationships.
Okay, finally, let's talk about order and habits. This is where we build the systems that make good behavior automatic.
Right. Since we know willpower is a finite resource, we need to design routines that don't require it. The best systems run on their own.
And one of the simplest ways to do this is called habit stacking.
Habit stacking, or sometimes wellness stacking. It's all about cueing. You link a new habit you want to build with an old habit that's already completely automatic.
Like, after I brush my teeth, I will floss one tooth.
Perfect example. Or, after I pour my morning coffee, I will write one sentence in my journal. The old habit, the coffee, becomes the trigger for the new one. You don't have to decide when to do it. The decision is already made. Text overlay 7. Habit stacking builds systems.
It just removes all the friction of starting.
Completely. You're latching the new behavior onto a train that's already moving.
And what about all those tiny tasks that build up during the day? The ones that create that feeling of overwhelm?
For that, you use the 2-minute rule. It's incredibly simple and incredibly effective. If a task pops into your head and you know it will take less than 2 minutes to complete,
Do it immediately.
do it right then and there. Don't write it down. Don't schedule it. Just do it. Putting a dish in the dishwasher, sending a 1-sentence reply email, hanging up your coat.
This prevents that buildup of what you could call small cognitive debt.
Exactly. It stops entropy from gaining a foothold. You handle the small disorders before they can accumulate into a big, paralyzing mess.
To zoom out for a second, the perfect metaphor for a clean, efficient system in nature has to be the V formation of geese.
Oh, it's a beautiful example. That structure, that specific arrangement, isn't accidental. The aerodynamics of flying and that formation allows the entire flock to fly 71% farther than any single goose could fly on its own.
71%. That's incredible.
It's staggering. The system, the order, facilitates a level of endurance that would be impossible for the individuals alone. It's the perfect illustration of how the right structure creates possibility.
Okay, that's a lot of theory and application. But right now, someone listening might be feeling that overwhelm, that sense of entropy taking over. How do we ground this in a practical exercise they can do immediately?
Let's walk through it. We call this the 10-minute reset. It combines that physical centering at the navel with the practical technique of cognitive offloading. The goal is to ground your nervous system and clear your mental RAM fast. Text overlay 8, the 10-minute reset.
Okay, so what's the first step?
Step 1 is just a pause. For 1 minute, wherever you are, just stop moving. Close your eyes if you can, and just acknowledge that feeling of rush, of internal chaos. Then bring your attention to your physical center, to your navel. Take 3 deep, slow breaths, feeling your abdomen expand and contract. This simple act tells your nervous system that you are safe.
Okay, after that minute of pausing and breathing.
Step 2 is to offload. For 3 minutes, this is the brain dump. Grab a piece of paper, a napkin, anything, and write down every single thing that is taking up space in your head.
Great.
Every task, worry, to-do, open loop. Don't edit, don't judge, just get it all out.
Empty the RAM onto the page.
Exactly. Then step 3 is to categorize. For 2 minutes, look at that list. You're just going to apply a very simple filter. Mark each item with a D. Either do it, delegate it, or delete it. That's it. Be ruthless. Most things are not as urgent as they feel.
Do, delegate, or delete. Simple. What's next?
Step 4 is to arrange. For the next 2 minutes, you're going to physically clear one surface in your immediate environment. Your desk, the kitchen counter, the passenger seat of your car. Just one. Put things away. This removes the visual noise and gives you an immediate, tangible sense of control and accomplishment.
It's like a mini Franklin reset.
It is. And finally, step 5 is to affirm. For the last 2 minutes, return your focus inward, back to that feeling of being centered at the navel. And then you close the exercise with a clear intention. The classic one is, divine order is now established in my mind and body. I am in right relation to all things.
10 minutes, that's it. And you've gone from chaos to clarity.
You've stopped the leak, grounded yourself, and created a clear path forward. It's a powerful intervention.
Of course, trying to implement this long-term, life pushes back. There are common obstacles. Let's run through the top 5 and the specific fix for each.
Okay, obstacle number 1, the inertia of entropy. The mess is just so big, the chaos is so deep that starting feels completely impossible.
The fix for this has to be the 2-minute rule. But maybe with a specific focus. Don't think about cleaning the whole house. Just find one thing, anything that will take less than 2 minutes and do it. Put one book back on the shelf. That's it. You've broken the inertia.
Exactly. Obstacle 2, decision fatigue. Your brain is just tired. Every little choice feels like lifting a huge weight.
The fix here is to create default choices. Pre-decide the trivial stuff. Wear the same style of outfit to work every day. Eat the same healthy breakfast every weekday morning. Automate the small choices to save your mental energy for the big ones. Text overlay 9. Pre-decide trivial choices.
Right. Obstacle 3, lack of follow-through. You have good intentions, you make a plan, but when the moment comes, the friction of starting is too high and you just don't do it.
This is where you use visual cueing. You have to design your environment to do the work for you. If you want to go for a run, put your running shoes right by the bed so you literally trip over them when you get up. Make your desired habits visible and your bad habits invisible.
Love it. Okay, obstacle 4, the need for control. That Pharaoh consciousness we talked about, the anxiety that if you relax for even a second, everything will descend into chaos.
The fix is to consciously practice bounded instability. You have to schedule white space into your week. A block of time, an afternoon, where you are not allowed to be productive. It's planned chaos. This teaches your nervous system that it's okay to let go, which ironically makes your structured time even more effective.
It's a pressure release valve for the whole system. And finally, obstacle 5, overwhelmed by scale. This is the New Year's resolution problem. Trying to change 10 habits all at once on January 1st.
And failing by January 3rd. The fix is to start incrementally. Pick one thing, one single habit, and focus only on that until it's automatic. Maybe that takes 30 days, maybe 60. Only then you add the next one. Slow change is fast change because it's the only kind that actually lasts.
So true.
All right, let's wrap this all up. Let's distill this entire conversation down to the core principles, the key takeaways.
Let's do it. There are 7 that I think are the most important.
Number 1, order is structure, rhythm, and system. It is not perfectionism.
2, it is the necessary counterforce to entropy, that universal drift toward disorder.
3, The goal is homeostasis, that dynamic, resilient balance of structure and chaos.
4. Order must precede expansion. You have to build a strong container before you can add more to it.
5. Its main job is to solve the problem of decision fatigue by reducing friction and cognitive load.
6. The guiding principle is wisdom. Ease isn't laziness, it's wisdom, designed for ease.
And 7. Order is the distribution network for your life's energy, making sure your vitality gets where it needs to go.
That's the framework.
It's a powerful one. We've spent this time building the container, right? We've designed the engine, we've laid the tracks. But a perfect engine on a perfect track is useless if it has no fuel. It goes nowhere.
And that fuel, that propulsive energy, that life force, that is the next power we need to explore. It's called zeal.
Zeal.
In this system, zeal is defined as the affirmative impulse of existence. It's the fire within that says, go forward. Text overlay 10. Order is the container, zeal is the fuel.
So you have order, the structure, and zeal, the energy. You need both.
You absolutely need both. Zeal without order is just a wildfire. It's explosive, it's chaotic, and it burns out fast.
The old saying, zeal without knowledge is fire without light.
That's it, exactly. So next time, we're going to talk about how to ignite this structure we've just built. How to cultivate and direct the fire of zeal so that it becomes a focused, sustainable engine for progress instead of just an explosion of passion that leaves you exhausted.
Thanks for being here. If you want the full series, check the playlist and please like and subscribe so you don't miss the next episode.